In this lesson, we're going to work on polar tracking and then move and copy, and we'll look at the differences between those. So if you're going to come down here, you're going to make sure everything is turned on. Turned off. The only ones that we want turned on are grid display. We do not want ortho mode. We're actually going to use polar tracking, which is right next to it, and then object snap. Those are the ones that you want. Everything else should be turned off. So go ahead and take some time to do that. If you hover over polar tracking, it is the one that has a circle and then it looks like it has an angle on the inside of it. And we're going to use that today. Now, just like we did with object snap, we're going to right click on the icon of polar tracking. So right click on the icon for polar tracking. When I right click, I'm going to have this pop up. Okay, and we don't have to go to settings, but we're just going to look up here, and what it does is it gives us options. So if you think about ortho mode, okay, so you think about ortho mode did everything at 90 degrees, 0 degrees, 180, 270, and it did everything at 90 degrees. Well, polar tracking will let us do anything at, we could pick 5 degrees, so every 5 degrees it'll lock in, or every 10, 15, 18, 22 and a half, 30, 45, and even 90. We're going to pick 15. 15 will give us a lot of common degrees that allow us to do some great stuff. So we're going to pick 15, make sure that is checked. All right, and then you're good to go. Okay, so we right clicked here, we made sure that 15 was selected on polar tracking. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page with that before we begin to draw. Now we're going to go ahead and select line. Select the line tool, and it says specify first point. We're going to do the first point 1, 1. I'll type it over here so you can see. So we did a line. 1, 1 is where we started. So we started at 1, 1. And we're going to draw a triangle. So what that's going to look like is we're going to go at 0 degrees for 3. So I'm going to type in 3. So 3 at 0 degrees. All right. Then when I start moving around, you'll start seeing that this green line pops up. So if I'm at 0, it pops up. There's the green line that lets me know, hey, I'm locked in. It snaps into 0 degrees, snaps into 15 degrees, into 30, into 45, and it'll snap at every 15 degrees. And so now, if I tell you that we need to lock in not at 90, but at 120, then we can lock in at 120, and there it is. So it tells me, boom, there we go, that angled line. It's easier than the other way we were doing it, right? Here we just tell it exactly what degrees we want, and we're going to type in a number. So we're going to point in that direction at 120, and I'm going to type in 3 and press enter. So write that down. 3 at 120 degrees. Remember, all you're typing in is that number. Then we could close, but just for fun, we're going to go ahead and do it this way. And so if we did 120 to come back again, we're going to do 240. So we're going to type in 3 at 240. And press escape, and that closed our shape. And so this triangle, it's an equilateral triangle, all the sides are 3, and so that was 3 at 0, 3 at 120, 3 at 240 degrees. So now that we finished the triangle, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a hexagon. Now we're going to look at the differences between move and copy. Now, move and copy are up here, and depending on whether you can see them completely or not, you can just at least see the icon. The move icon, if you hover over it, is it's the plus sign with arrows. All right, so we're going to move the triangle. So we're going to click move. Then it says select object. So right now I don't have anything selected, but it wants me to select the object. So I'm going to come over here. Just going to do a big green rectangle around it. I'm going to select it. Okay, since I'm done selecting, I'm going to press enter. So now it moves on to the next part. Specify the base point. So specify where I want to measure my moving from. So I'm just going to pick the bottom right one. I can pick the top, or I can pick, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to snap to that point. So you should have had snap on. It'll snap. I'm just going to move it up. We'll just type in 4. So it moved, right? It took the original and it moved it up. Sorry about that. It moved it up 4 inches. So we moved the triangle up 4 inches. Now we're going to copy this, and so we're going to do this one a little bit differently. We're going to select the entire thing first. So you can select it first, and then up here we have copy. And you hover over it, it says copy. So it starts with a white circle and then it turns into 2 blue. And I'll show you that it's going to copy. And so we're going to click it. Now it says we've already selected that, so now it wants specify base point. So we're going to click the base point, click the bottom right, and I'm just going to move it. And you can see kind of, if you're estimating or you're looking, you can kind of just move it and get an idea of where we want to be. So I'm going to be around here. Let's just type in 5. So 5. Then we're going to continue to read the command line. Specify second point or array and all that stuff. We're going to specify second point. We don't need a second point. Okay? We don't need a second point, so we're just going to press escape, and then it's done. Okay, we only wanted 1 copy of it, so we only did 1 copy of it, and we moved it 5. So moved 5 to the right. So we moved it 5 inches to the right. So now we have 2 of those because we copied. We moved that one, and we don't have an original because the original was the one that moved. And so that's move and copy, and that's polar tracking. And that allows us to do, polar tracking is basically the superpowers compared to ortho mode. It's got superpowers that lets us do any of the degrees we want, and we can just right click down here and pick those. But most of what we'll be doing will be with 15. So 15 is the best one to have selected, and we'll do work with those. All right, now you can work on your assignment.